everyone, and welcome back to the Whale Nerds podcast. This is episode number 70. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Eric and Caitlin.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Adam.
OG crew.
Woo woo!
What's Adam doing? Sanding boats?
I think, top coating. Yeah, I don't know.
Eating chicken nuggets.
Adam could make it today.
I'm going to join him if he's eating chicken nuggets.
He drive all the way to Santa Barbara for chicken nuggets.
Like 4 hours.
If it really there is something that does have chicken in it in Santa Barbara, it's probably the best sandwich I've ever had in my entire life. It's a jalapeno spread. It's like a jalapeno jelly that's on a spicy chicken sandwich, but I think they use the waffle as the bun. I don't know. It was crazy. Adam showed it to me.
See, when Slater talks about waffles, you're not sure if he's kidding or if he's serious.
Yeah, he does bring up waffles a lot.
Oh, yeah. What was that place back home? Bruxy? That was actual waffles.
Chicken and waffles?
Yeah. They had waffles instead of bread for their sandwiches. I don't think they have it here in Central California.
Welcome to the Waffle Podcast.
Well, sightings this week for me is a big whopping beta fish.
Oh, cool.
Romeo's still alive and well.
No, Romeo passed away. Way to bring it up. You.
I'm sorry.
Ruined the podcast.
I'm
This
sorry.
one, what did we name this guy? Shakespeare.
Are you serious?
Our name is Shakespeare, yeah.
You preach, you lunch feed.
Guess what?
What?
Well, I guess starting Monday I'll be on. We got a boat, so we'll be starting to head out on the water starting Monday in Newport. So
Did you say you got a boat?
I didn't get a boat, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
He has a boat he can use.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
so I'll be heading out on the water. Hopefully we'll go find some common dolphins and gray whales. Start off. That's so funny. It wouldn't be
Set the
Newport
bar-
without starting
set
off
the
with
bar low,
comments.
dude. Set the bar low.
You know what? I'm gonna see freaking Eastern Tropical Pacifics on the first day.
I'm gonna be so mad if you do.
I've seen them, so
I haven't. They're on my list.
ETPs, offshore killer whales,
Leatherback.
leatherbacks.
Okay, hold on. I've
Wait,
seen
Caitlin's
offshores.
seen
I
most
was
of
there
those.
with you the day that you got the shark footage.
Offshore, bottlenose, you missed those.
Offshore leopard, zebra, shark.
You guys are making stuff up now.
Jaguar shark.
Okay, anyways, Eric, what did you see on the ocean?
Gray whales, white-sided, northern right whale dolphins, Risso's dolphins, one bottlenose. What else has been going on? My humpbacks
Any
have disappeared. I ID'd one like 2 weeks ago, and I recognized it as a calf, so it's like just hanging out here. And Mom probably went, "See ya, I'm going south."
Yeah.
Has it not been that crazy though, Eric?
You know what? The amount of gray whales has been good. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, so we were the only boat to see so Sea Goddess, one of their passengers one of their passengers yells out, they're going back towards Moss, yells out, "Orca!" And and then the naturalist kind of like turns his head in I think it was her that day, her head in time, and kind of sees a glimpse of a few dorsal fins. And they just disappear. So we go back to the area, they go help out. We see them, and they just disappear. It's like one of those. And then that was the morning trip, right? The second trip, after seeing a whole bunch of gray whales and those orca, during the first trip. Second trip, the entire fleet got skunked. I've never here in Monterey Bay, the entire fleet
at the peak of gray whale season.
Yeah, did not see. So those 3 orca just freaking scared the snot out of everyone. So it's pretty.
So you probably have to go like past Point Lobos and get really close to shore to find any of them.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad visibility. Usually it's bad visibility and bad seas that cause us to skunk here, Monterey Bay. But no, I think they just scared the bejesus out of all the gray whales, and
somewhere on a hard drive, I have photos and videos of gray whales doing that snorkeling behavior where literally all you see break the surface is a pair of blowholes.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
There's that
like
place
you don't see their breath, you just see the blowhole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like the cliff that all of us hang out at one day. Was Slater, were you with me? No, I don't think you were with me that one day. So that spot that we go to, we saw a gray whale in Big Sur. It like swam in front of me, and then it turned around. But that entire time, it probably moved, I kid you not, probably a little over a half mile It was that clear and that flat. I could see it below the surface. It did not come up for a single breath, And I had those days, where
actually,
they come up and then you don't even see it blow. It's like, what the heck?
Remember when I moved back to Newport the last time?
Yeah.
Well, I took one of those little boats out and by myself, and I was following a gray whale. I followed it for like 2 miles, and I only could see it from the drone. I never saw it from the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how they can go into stealth mode like that.
Yeah.
Not 2 miles, like not even a mile, but it was like I followed it for so long, and I never saw it from the boat. I just saw every time. I only saw fluke prints.
Yeah.
But I've seen that with humpbacks too, where they'll come up and you won't even hear or see anything, not a drop of water leave that blowhole. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. You're like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Eric, do you remember that day where we saw dorsal fins and then we never saw them again, but we saw Rizzos, but we swear you and I both saw killer whales?
Yeah, it was like 4 of us who saw it, like 4 guys who know what they're doing. I think we were with Chris, and then it was either like Andrew was our deckhand or someone. We all look to the left. We all see
and
one.
All 4 of you are qualified.
Oh yeah, I'm the most qualified.
Well, we see one big black dorsal fin, and we're like, ah, and then it just ninja vanished. So it's crazy. And the best part is like there's days when that happens, and there's literally 4 boats around you, and then you got some badass animals there just wanting to disappear.
Yep. Well, I saw humpback whales and bottlenose dolphins and spinner dolphins.
Oh, nice.
One snorkel trip, we actually got to see all 3 species on a single trip, which was pretty amazing.
Oh.
I
like spinner dolphins.
That's the first time I've seen spinner dolphins since I've been back. I've been here like 2 months and I hadn't seen spinner dolphins.
Were they doing it?
No, they were just cruising on the shoreline, resting, napping. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Lots of turtles, obviously.
What kind of turtles?
Green sea turtles.
Any leatherbacks?
No, it's not likely. And then I feel like there was something else, but I forgot.
Oh, I want to go to that little turtle pond right now.
But yeah, it's been pretty good out here. So there's lots of whales, lots of baby whales, and good whale song pretty much all day, every day.
Cool.
And yeah, we've been pretty busy too, which is
really
nice. Yeah, I think because California reopened, like there was a weird lull when California was locked down, and now all of a sudden, like I have so many people from like Bay Area and SoCal. They're like, I'm like, where are you from? San Jose. Where are you from? San Francisco. Where are you from? Newport. I'm like, all of California is now in Maui.
Maybe they found that $99 deal.
No, it's not real.
It's not real.
I got it $198.
That's one way. It was not, so that makes sense. Dude, if it's $100.
I would. That's nothing, but it's like you have to count in the fact that you have to go do a test, which you may or may not have to pay, depending on insurance and stuff. But then you have to factor in that it's going to be $1 billion to stay there.
Yeah.
Unless you know someone, which I do know someone, and he did say I could stay. But yeah, maybe next year, I guess.
Yeah, that's been my sightings.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, just a quick reminder, Pacific Whale Foundation's first virtual festival of whales is ongoing. The film festival starts on the 19th virtually, I think. So if you want to check out the films in the film festival and that kind of stuff, you can register. Let's see, the website is mauiwhalefestival.org. And we put all of our show notes, including links to things like that, on our Facebook in the comments each time that we post the episode link. So if you're always wondering, like, where are the notes and the links from the things that we talk about, they're on our Facebook page.
Cool.
We also have another new patron since last time we recorded. So thanks so much for your support. Actually, I think we might have 2 more.
2,
We're up to 10. Yeah. So thank you for joining on with us.
10 of the best.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, it's just patreon.com/whalenerds. So check it out there. And then we have a couple pieces of news. One of them is not whale news, but it was too cool to pass up.
Wow.
Scientists cloned a ferret
I
from
know that link won't open for me.
preserved DNA.
It's like 30-year-old DNA too, wasn't it, or something
So
like
cool,
that?
yes.
Yeah.
It won't open for me, you guys. It's just it keeps bringing me to some survey. Are you trying to hack my computer, Kaylin?
No, dude.
She could take all your games.
No, for real. It's like,
You want me to try and send it to you directly?
well, I don't know what's going on. There's like some ad that pops up, and then it like asks me to do a survey.
Hang on. What's happening here?
Because I'd like to see that ferret.
It just looks like a ferret.
My friend had a ferret.
I just copied the link again. Try that. I don't know.
Let me see.
Dog,
Open link.
ferret.
Oh, dude, it shows. Okay, I'm taking the survey, but if I get a virus, dude.
No. You should be able to close out the survey. Don't get a virus on your computer.
Okay, it
Just
says,
Google it.
Kaylin, you just gave all your credit card information to Kaylin Taylor. What?
No, you did not. Just say, okay, the title of the article is First Clone of U.S. Endangered Species of Black
Oh, I got it.
Ferret
I
Announced.
just did the one survey, dude. I put prefer not to share. I see it.
Me out. You're freaking me out.
So did it
Okay.
start as a baby or just?
So the DNA was frozen from over 30 years ago of the last black-footed ferret that was in existence. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was like had a hand in it. She's a genetic basically this ferret is a genetic copy of a ferret named Willow who died in 1988, whose remains were frozen in the early days of DNA technology. So basically they like cloned it in the lab and then implanted the fertilized embryo into a domestic ferret foster mom, I think. And now that foster ferret is raising this little one. So this is like one of the first like major steps in like potentially
Making dinosaurs?
yeah. But also
Ooh.
recovering
Basilosaurus.
extinct and endangered species from cloning. So
will we have woolly mammoths?
could we save the vaquita?
Well,
like that's the kind of question. What about rhinos?
the only thing is we saw how the vaquita did in captivity for that like 2 hours, and it didn't do very well.
But some places had success with harbor porpoises in captivity. So could harbor porpoises be surrogates for vaquita?
You have producing them.
That's the question, like that's where this is gonna go, I think, is like, and then of course people are like, oh, then can you clone humans? And it's like, there's already enough humans. Do we really need to clone humans? Is that necessary?
One boat.
Velociraptors and T-Rex. It's gonna be so cool.
No T-Rexes, please.
Oh.
I knew they'd figure it out. I knew
either.
they'd figure it out. I mean, and they did Dolly,
Yeah.
Things are just
There's
gonna
something
get
in here.
Dolly.
sheep that they cloned.
Wow.
There was a company that will clone your pet cat for $35,000.
Oh yikes.
That's so crazy.
And it also does dogs for $50,000.
Holy guapsters.
Hilarious.
Viagen.
Why'd you say InGen?
Viagen.
Oh,
This
Yeah.
ad is
darn
brought
it.
to you by Viagen.
And they also have cloned a wild horse species from Mongolia. The same company.
Yeah. Those things look crazy.
What?
The 2,000 or so surviving horses are descendants from just a dozen animals. Wow. That's
Crazy.
nuts.
Yeah, they're just gonna get better and better at that stuff. Life finds a way.
What if they clone a woolly mammoth? They would just use like an elephant or something?
Probably.
I guess.
Closest relative or
Yeah.
female that can handle all that.
Sick.
So they're saying that mammals are easier to clone than like birds because the challenge of eggs for birds. Yeah, and one of the group's projects includes even trying to bring back a woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, do you remember those like documentaries that were always on like Discovery Channel and stuff about like they like go to the ice and they like find this little cell and they like bring it back and they're like, oh my god, this could be it. And it's like kind of like I don't know.
It reminds me of you guys remember Monty's caveman
Caveman dogs.
story how, and then literally how a week later they talk about the frozen wolf with the
I know.
what
And
was
the
it?
diseases,
What diseases?
they were thawing in
Yeah,
permafrost, and they
and they
were
realized there's diseases in it.
semi-domesticated wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, Monty's gonna come up a lot in this episode. Just saying. Just buckle up, friends.
Really?
Yes.
Aliens?
Aliens.
Space-time continuum?
Well, they landed
yeah.
on Mars, you ding dings, with a rover yesterday. I watched it live on Twitch.
How was that? So cool.
Well, it was pretty cool. I did see them capture the first image.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the first image because they've already done it, but you know what I mean, like the first image when they landed.
From that rover.
You guys remember the trailer for the Transformers movie where they land on that planet and then you see a shadow of a Transformer and just smashes it? That's what it reminded me of.
Rover.
I know. What if someone just walked up and like to the camera and they just waved and then walked away?
Remember that? They'd be like, they probably wouldn't even release that. Gotta keep it a secret, you know?
Yeah, they would have. Like, I bet it's on some kind of time delay in case something crazy like that happens.
It wasn't live? No kidding.
They probably had a plan.
Did it really happen? Was it a movie set?
Yeah, like an alien shows up, like cut the feet or something like that.
Why are there two shadows?
Have they released more pictures from it?
I think so.
I'll have to check
And release some of the communications that the rover sends back to base too. So the other piece of news is Eric actually sent this to me. How long ago was this article published? This is from last year, but he stumbled upon it the other day. And this paleontologist was contacted by a guy. He works in Egypt, and he's contacted by a contractor in Egypt who's cutting pieces of limestone for kitchen countertops. And he was like, whoa, we found a fossil. And the guy from the university that he had called was like, okay, cool. And then he gets out there and he's like, it's a whole whale. So I'm
looking at the photo of it.
On the link in the article, it's like 5 slabs that they cut when they realized what it was, that it was like one whole skeleton.
Oh, it was this way. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
They cut. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the contractor was nice enough to donate all of the sample for free to the university.
Dude, how will they? You think they'll sand it out and get it out?
Yeah, they're working on like articulating and documenting it and stuff. Yeah. They said that the bones belong to a Protocetidae, which is a member of the group of Eocene whales, your favorite time, Slater.
Yeah.
Which is a step in evolution from land to sea for whales and dolphins. So it has a complete skull, a mandible, most of the backbone, limbs, and ribs. Dude. And they think that this is an amphibious species that still had strong enough legs to support them on land as well as swim in the water. Yeah. And it was up to 5 meters long, so like 15, 16 feet long, and weighed about 900 kilograms. So almost 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, just that skull portion you can see is pretty big, and the teeth is pretty cool too.
Eric, Google it right now.
What?
The Google Protocetidae.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
It looks like a harbor seal meets a frog.
Yeah.
And a freaking turkey.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. But what's funny is like, okay, so these places, the quarries that get these like marble slabs, limestone slabs, whatever for these places, they always run into stuff. In fact, there's a few cases where some of these slabs are installed in places before they even realize there's something, some type of fossil in them. The most famous,
valuable in them.
Yeah, the most famous case. This is kind of ironic. One of the most famous cases, I think, is in Italy. There's a cathedral where there's a dinosaur skull. And we don't want to get into religion and evolution, but so there's a dinosaur in the cathedral, yeah. And Slater,
this is only 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, and Orange County people, any of my Orange County friends here, listeners, might want to check this out. Slater, you might have noticed it too, or been into this spot. Main Place Mall in Santa Ana, the men's room by the food court. If you go in there, that bathroom, there's ammonites all over that bathroom because they use slabs of I don't know if it's marble or what, but yeah, there's ammonites and other fossils all over.
Do you think that was intentional? Like that was a decor piece, or like that was incidental?
Sometimes it's intentional and it's really expensive. In
I've
fact,
never been to that mall.
another neat thing is I don't even remember the name. I've been gone from Southern Cal for so long. But the tallest building in downtown LA, when they built the foundation for that, they dug really deep and they dug up a bunch of like rock with like, shells embedded with that. All that went to one of those countertop businesses too. They just basically cut pieces and polished them. And there's people with pieces of the bottom of downtown LA as their kitchen tops, embedded with.
If I hit it big time, I want my countertops to have fossils in them.
I forgot the name of that building. The tallest
one. It's the Wilshire Grand Center.
It's the
US
newest
Bank Tower,
one.
Aeon.
I think is it the US Bank one? I think it's the US.
Know. Or there's Aeon Center, 2 California Plaza. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. But they dug like super deep, obviously, to build that foundation, and they came up with a bunch of like rock with just marine fossils embedded in them.
Nice.
So yeah, but main place, men's bathroom. You're gonna look really weird looking at the wall, but yeah, there's ammonites and other fossils in there.
Somebody will have to send me pictures or clear the bathroom so I can go look.
Yeah, you can pee and look at fossils. It's pretty.
Excuse me. I'm doing science here. Can you back the?
Excuse me, Andy. My space. I'm examining the wall. Okay, so the next update is from Whale Tales. Eric, have you had a chance to watch any of it yet?
No, I didn't.
That.
Okay, I watched the most of the first day. So I'll just give you guys kind of a little preview of what was on there. A lot of it was just kind of brief notes and check-ins from scientists all over the world. And then there was a few like more breakout discussion type things. And then I haven't watched the question and answer panel all the way yet from the end of the first day. But some couple cool notes. One of them was from John Ford, who's actually a bioacoustics guy up in Canada. He does a lot of work with killer whale vocalizations, but he actually talked more about humpbacks in the Salish Sea. And so he kind of gave some context information about the productivity and like the marine mammal populations of the Salish Sea in historical context. And then he talked about when whaling came to the Salish Sea. It only took 3 years to remove all the humpback whales from the Salish Sea once the whaling station was established there. Doesn't that blow your mind? 3 years. And they removed all the humpback whales from the Salish Sea. And then for about 100 years, they were gone from the area. And then now they're starting to see a recolonization from 2010 onwards, which is really cool. So I just thought that was kind of like, that was one of those things where I like paused the video and like replayed it. Because I was like, did he just say 3 years?
Right? Yeah.
And then Ted from Happy Whale was on there, and he had a cool little update about their project. They are pretty confident that they have now in their database identified more than half, maybe as much as 65% of all living adult humpback whales in the North Pacific from the last 20 years.
Woohoo!
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing coverage.
How many do they say are in our population? Not how many do they say? How many do you think he has? Does he know?
They're at over 100,000 images, but that's worldwide. And that includes, I think, all the repeats. So all the identified images that are like documented in Happy Whale.
I'm like waiting for the ones I saw in Iceland to finally be seen.
Maybe we should ask him to be a guest.
Oh yeah, that would be smart, probably.
Yeah, we can talk to Ted.
The other project that had a really cool update that he didn't actually talk about explicitly, but I was like looking at his maps while he was talking, was a researcher from Mingan Island Cetacean Study, which is in the Gulf of St. Lawrence in Canada. One of the fin whales that they tagged in one of their projects swam all the way from the Gulf of St. Lawrence to South Florida and back to the Gulf of St. Lawrence, all off the continental shelf.
That's nice.
Wow.
That's insane. Like, what a range for one animal.
Dude, St. Lawrence, I couldn't believe it. The whale watching is good there.
Yeah, I want to go there when
Canada
is reopened.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I saw over there. I was like, this place is awesome.
Yeah. So that was super cool.
Yeah.
And then...
Wait, Kaylin.
What?
Does Fred Sharp and... does he look at whales in Alaska?
Yeah.
Wow.
he's doing a bubble project right now that's more like a global thing. But he did the original critter cam footage with bubble net feeding humpbacks in Alaska, and he still does work up there.
One, he's got lots of stuff on Happy Whale, and two, he's seen a whale that I've seen, but I saw it in Hawaii, and he's seen it in Alaska.
Yeah, he's one of the main scientific advisors of Alaska Whale Foundation.
Are you on Happy Whale right now, Slater?
Yeah, I just want to check something real quick. But a couple of the whales that I saw last year in Maui are in Maui again right now. They were seen in January, so.
So the other person that I just have a brief note for before I get into the nitty gritty of the main theme of topics from day one was Andrew Stevenson, who works mostly off Bermuda, so Caribbean North Atlantic humpback breeding ground. And he has been observing them above and below the surface, so drone work, topside work, and in-water work, trying to figure out what the whales are doing off the coast of Bermuda in particular. It seems to be sort of a transitory area, but also maybe potentially a birthing ground, the more data he's collected. And he has seen humpbacks feeding opportunistically off Challenger Bank off the coast of Bermuda. So that kind of muddies the waters as far as fasting
Feeding
during
grounds.
migration. I mean, I always say if there's food around, I'm sure they'd
go for it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of validates. Yeah, that kind of validates that. He also had some cool footage of whales exfoliating themselves in the sand.
In the sand, huh?
Yeah, they roll around in the sand patches on the bottom.
What kind of whale? Oh.
Humpbacks.
Okay. When you said on the sand, I was thinking on the sand.
Like on the beach.
Yeah. I was
no. They dive down in a sand patch and rub around in it. Super cool.
Yeah, I've heard rocks and boulders, but sand. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Do that. You don't hear more whales doing that.
Yeah, which further validates, the Pittman theory about skin maintenance and migration and that kind of stuff. So, so that was super cool. But what really blew my mind was the stuff about whale song. So, I'll talk a little bit about current studies, and then I'm going to talk a lot more about Roger Payne. And here's where the aliens are going to come in: is the Roger Payne stuff.
Aliens.
So Jim Darling is the main whale song dude in Maui. He works a lot with Mark Lammers and Adam Pack and a couple other people, but he's one of the longest running whale song researchers in the Hawaiian Islands. So he kind of did some breakdowns and updates about songs. One of the things that I took away from it was that when whales compose a song, the song has multiple themes, right? But the themes that make up the song may not have equal length in the song. If you made it a pie chart, one theme might be 50%, another theme might only be 10%. They're not equal ratios in the song. It's not they always have a quarter of this is one theme, a quarter. If they have 4 themes, it's not that those 4 themes aren't equally distributed through the length of the song. Oh. If that makes sense.
Yeah, these songs are getting. It seems like these songs are really getting torn apart lately because that paper I sent you too is still.
Yeah, and that paper is going to kind of blow some of this other stuff that I'm talking about out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the main thing that Jim presented on the day one talks was a comparison of songs across 3 years from breeding grounds off the Philippines, Japan, Hawaii, and Mexico. And I think it's important to distinguish that there are actually 2 Western Pacific Northwestern Pacific humpback whale breeding grounds. There is one off the Philippines. And there was an organization from the Philippines on there kind of talking about, hey, we're new at this, and we've been doing this for a few years. COVID's made it really difficult. If you want to support our work, here's our website, here's our social media, stuff like that, because it's a pretty new endeavor over there. It's a new priority for them. So Philippines, Japan, Hawaii, and Mexico. Mexico's song changed the most over the course of their 3-year study. And basically the simplest conclusion they've come out of is that the song is an ongoing but annually variable mixing of humpback whales across the North Pacific is what's kind of the mechanism for song change. Eric has another thing he sent me that's going to kind of muddy that idea. And then there was a woman, Dr. Garland, studying South Pacific humpback whale songs on all of the, from like Eastern Australia across all the islands of the South Pacific. There's like 7 different breeding grounds, I think. And their study tracks this very clear stepwise movement eastward year to year. Like the song just like goes through this like fluttering transformation eastward over the course of several years. It starts in Eastern Australia and moves across the South Pacific Island locations, which is interesting. And she said that kind of puts this whole like synchrony versus harmony question into play. Like, are the whales trying to synchronize with each other, or are they trying to harmonize with each other? Because like they're all singing out of sync, right? And it takes a while for the song to move across the South Pacific. So are they copying each other? Are they just trying to harmonize with each other, where they pick elements that they like and then the song transforms from there? She's like, it just throws a whole bunch of questions into it, like, because it does change over time, right? But like it changes with a pattern. So it's kind of cool to hear her kind of parse that out for a little bit. But then Roger Payne, which I've been told some of this is in his book called Among Whales, which is next on my reading list.
Ooh.
He first clarified, okay, humans and whales are separated by like 53 million years on planet Earth, right? Like it's very unlikely that humans and whales have been eavesdropping on each other's songs to any great degree, right? Like whales and humans one-on-one don't interact like that. But somehow whales and humans use many of the same compositional rules for song. And then he also had the question of, so how can whale song evoke such emotion in humans? Like sometimes people hear whale song and they cry on the boat. Like, how does that get people that worked up? It's not from their species. We don't understand what they're saying. There's something just like that gets to the core of people. Yeah. So his question was, does the vertebrate brain find only a small array of sounds attractive? Is there some sort of vertebrate shared single acoustic aesthetic? Is there something that like our old parts of our brain likes best? And that's what we're connecting with. And then could that aesthetic in whale song and human song come from a common ancestor that predates humans and whales? Like, is our vertebrate ancestor somewhere along the lines had liked this aesthetic and it played a role in our survival? And now like the laws of song predate the existence of both humans and whales, and we follow them and we don't even realize them.
Wow.
And then he was like, if you break down music as energy and you look at the way that energy moves across the universe, like galaxies are moving with the energy of the Big Bang. So a galaxy could be viewed as a chord of music from the Big Bang. Are we tapping into that same energy and turning it into acoustic sound and like basically like channeling it, right? And so he's like, have whales come closer to communicating a universal music since they've had a 10 million year head start on humans? Is it possible that the universe sings? Is this where the idea of God comes from? Is some sort of like energy of the universe that vibrates through everything? Like, and then I wrote in my notes, I was like, aliens taught us all to sing. Because then his next question was like, if we meet extraterrestrial life someday, like, do they abide by these same rules of music? Because it's really actually the like energy of the universe expanding. Like, oh my God, it was crazy. It was so cool. I came out of my room and I was pretty sure my roommates thought I was crazy because I was like, this just blew my mind.
Wow.
So yeah, aliens taught us all to sing. It also reminded me of the Doctor Who episode about sky whales. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Sky whales.
And then they had, right after Roger, they had this artist, Bernard Abier. He's French. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Sorry. and he like heard the 1970 songs of the Humpback Whale record from Roger Payne, and he like picked up a stand-up bass and just like played whale song on his bass, and it sounds exactly like a whale singing. So he played some of that music, but then he also explained, like, because he's like, English is not his first language, and so he's like, maybe I'm saying this wrong, but like, I try to speak with my emotions, and my emotion is music, and I try to speak with the world with music. Like, he goes and communicates to the trees in his backyard with his music. He doesn't use words. And so like that kind of is like, maybe we should have been asking a musician to weigh in on whale song the whole time. Like, it's kind of interesting
Yeah,
to see how that transcends like across species, you know. So it was kind of cool. And then there was one other researcher that was working on whale song named Beth Goodwin, and she's using gliders, like open ocean gliders, to detect whale song outside of Hawaii. So she sent a glider from Hawaii to Mexico in 2018, and they were over 1,200 miles offshore, and they detected whale song. So that leads them to believe that there is some sort of open ocean transfer between Hawaii and Mexico of whales moving between those two locations. In 2019, they sent the glider the other way. They sent it west from Hawaii, and they were over 1,000 miles offshore and also detected whale song. So there's more going on in the Northwest Hawaiian Islands and between there and Japan than anyone realized. And she has a glider out right now going east again from Big Island to Mexico, and you can actually track it online.
What?
So
That's cool.
it's called jupiterfoundation.org, and then it's /HUMPACS-1. So humpbacks 1, but it's spelled without a B and without a K. We'll put the link in our show notes.
That's pretty
cool.
That
was cool. Yeah.
That's just day one, right?
And that's just day one.
That's cool. ACS also just released that they...
Are they live? Are they available now?
Yeah, I think it's available now.
Oh, cool. I'll check those out.
A lot of stuff for people to catch up on right now.
Yeah. And then the first section of the Q&A that I did listen to, I think Flip Nicklin said kind of a cool quote that I think you can kind of just like take pretty much anywhere. He said when he was first working with Nat Geo, his boss said, "I'm up to my eyebrows in photographers, but I'm only up to my ankles in new ideas." So if you want to get like into a field or into something and you want to be a standout person in that field, have a new idea to go with your skills. Is kind of what he was saying, which was cool. So then, talking about all this whale song things, Eric sends me this paper that kind of like torpedoes it. So this journal article just came out in Journal of Comparative Psychology from Eduardo Mercado and a few other collaborators. I was only able to pull up the abstract.
Yeah, I couldn't find the whole...
Yeah, I might
email
him and ask if he can send a copy of the paper and we can talk more about it. But there's also in the University of Buffalo's website kind of like more of like a science communication story about it. And basically their team is saying that the mechanism for humpback whale song to change may not be cultural transmission. It may be more like they're kind of like how a DJ can't just plug any song in for the next song. It has to kind of like fit the theme and the structure of the previous song. Like when they're making a remix, you can't just go from like Sweet Caroline to like Ave Maria. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to kind of go together. So he's saying that they make changes, but in relation to what was preceding, like what the previous section of the song was. So they're basically beat matching when they change the songs. And they came up with this idea because they saw this mechanism for change across populations that had no social contact or genetic links, and they compared 40 years worth of songs. So like looking at the original 1970 Bermuda song compared to like 2012 off the coast of the Philippines, like they're trying to really have a big difference to really see if that's like the true mechanism or not. So I guess you could still kind of explain that like east to west, or like west to east transformation across the South Pacific if they're all following that rule of beat matching when they change the song, because there's only so many options to change, right? But yeah, kind of a lot of people think it's a cultural transmission thing where they're copying each other or learning from each other, but really maybe they all just follow the same rules of composition, and they just coincidentally have only so many compositions to pick from.
Yeah, I'm surprised that this hasn't been talked about more, because it kind of literally takes everything we thought we knew and just like a big old FU to it.
Flips it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see if we can get the actual paper, because it would be interesting to see like all the analysis and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you posted on that if we are able to access it. But yeah, it kind of like reverses everything that we thought we knew.
Yeah.
Science.
Exactly. Science. Trying to think, what else are we? You down your list there? I think I'm good.
Yeah, the rest of the stuff is right whales, and it's kind of sad. I don't know if you guys want to do that this episode or not.
I don't want to cry anymore.
Okay, we'll do it quickly. We'll
Okay.
just, like Band-Aid, rip it off. Okay, so this, the first thing I want to talk about is there was some pushback for more northern right whale protections in the state of Maine, especially with fishermen and having to close fishing areas, change gear, things like that. But the other point that the article was making is that NIMS, or National Marine Fisheries Service, which is the federal agency responsible for protecting endangered marine species, has failed in their responsibilities regarding right whales. So not only are the fishermen being put in a rock and a hard place situation, especially financially, a lot of it is too little too late in regards to actions from NIMS. And even the stuff that they did put out late is not sufficient. So this was going on back in December. NIMS finally released some protection guidelines and planning information at the end of December. There's kind of an ongoing thing across all of the eastern seaboard to kind of remedy this. There's actually been a lawsuit put against NIMS, which is the next article we'll talk about. But it was some interesting things in this article I read about in Maine is that they are actually claiming that there is over 1 million pot and line set gear in right whale habitat each year.
Wow,
1 million sets of gear.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got that data from. I'm assuming probably from like licensing information, but 1 million pots.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they're counting that through the licensing, or if they're actually physically going out going 1, 2, you know?
I would assume that most of it's licensing and then maybe extrapolating what the recreational is.
Because
each license has a certain amount of numbers. There's a certain number of them.
But then you have recreational too, so.
Because the same thing happened over here in Monterey, remember? Because the licensing for commercial fishing here, in our sanctuary, people counted them, but went out there and it's like, well, there's actually not that many out here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's however many you're licensed for. It may not be how many you're actively soaking at any one time.
Exactly.
And then the article did bring up the point that the fishermen really cannot bear the full cost of changing gear. It's expensive, especially when things are still in prototype stage. And so there should be some sort of subsidy, especially from NIMS, if they're really trying to protect right whales. That's what they have money for that. They should be helping offset the cost of new gear for fishermen as part of their plan. And then the current breakaway line gear recommendations that they have, the main issue that people are raising now is like having those weak points, those break points in the line. They're still too strong for juvenile animals, already injured animals, already entangled animals, or sick animals to break still. So your most vulnerable whales, the little ones, the weak ones, the already entangled ones, these breakaway lines will not help them.
It's no good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. I never really thought about that, but it totally makes sense.
There's so much more to think about. I was talking to a crab guy the other day, and they were talking about the lineless stuff. And one thing to worry about is we all know fishermen, especially us three. We worked with fishermen. They always they have their spots, right?
Yeah.
So how are these crab guys gonna know that the spot they're gonna drop their pots at, their buddy didn't already drop pots at?
True.
They're literally
they're
just sitting on top of each
There's
other.
gonna be a pile of pots, and we know, the guys gotta have their same place. Their string is always there to, the entire season, the same spot. And then their buddies are gonna be right there. So how do we know?
Hey, that's smart. I never thought about that
Right?
part.
Right? I mean, we all know fishermen, how they act and where they go. They got their spots, so
I mean,
they're all gonna pile up there.
So then the question would be, if a pot knocks into another one while settling, like, what's the likelihood that they'd land on top of each other?
You'll be surprised.
They're gonna fish right. They're gonna fish right next to each other, and that's gonna suck. They hate it when they set pots right on top.
You've been out here. You two have been out here. And looked at. You'll see
it's
like.
Aggravating. Yeah. Especially if you have fresh bait landed next to your pot that the bait's already almost gone.
Yeah.
And you're about to come pick yours up. I can see how it's a problem.
Yeah. And especially places that are like here, Monterey Bay. The guys like, especially for Dungeness crab, it's this these few sandy locations. So yeah, the pots falling on top of each other. You're thinking, oh, the ocean's so big, but they're fishermen. They go to the hot spots, and it's gonna happen.
And they know the hot spots better than anybody does.
Yeah.
Because that's literally their job, and like that's valuable, right?
Yeah.
So then I guess maybe that needs to be part of the testing of ropeless gear is like, will they ricochet off each other without being damaged? Will they deploy and float without flipping over or damaging someone else's pot during retrieval? Like those are things to think about when you're designing these.
Yeah.
Because like, what if you, I mean, I guess it would still self-right, but like, what if you did the lift bag version where the CO2 inflates the bag and brings the pot up?
Yeah. Another problem.
You know how expensive crabs are going to be now?
Yeah.
Which they should be anyways, but like, dude, it's going to be like $100 per crab because of the CO2 cartridges alone.
And another problem is they're stealth now. Who knows who dropped something, You're going to have something in an MPA.
That's
something in an MPA.
Yeah, that's regulatory. That's the regulatory concern. That's Fish and Wildlife's concern, is that you won't be able to tell if they're fishing in a no fish zone, and you won't be able to tell how many pots they have out versus how many they're permitted for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they could have 6 extra pots out.
They're gonna go back out at night and then trigger it, and
which that could be remedied with some buy-in from fishermen, but that rapport building and that trust building is going to be a long haul between Fish and Game and fishermen, especially in California.
There's so many things we haven't thought about. Like talking to the actual fishermen had me going like, oh my god, you guys are so right. I was like, geez.
Yeah, I mean the regulation thing I'd been aware of the whole time since I first heard of this like 4 or 5 years ago, but and I feel like that hurdle's not as hard to solve. It just is that everybody's going to have some agreements, and everybody's going to walk away unhappy, but it's going to be a system that'll probably work.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's coming down the line. And then let's talk a little bit about the lawsuit. So a few organizations have come together: Whale and Dolphin Conservation, Defenders of Wildlife, Conservation Law Foundation, and Center for Biological Diversity, and they have filed a legal petition again this year, or last year, and basically it's like turned into a lawsuit level over the rulemaking petitions that NMFS has failed to enact in regards to ship strike for right whales. So they filed a petition in June of 2012. It didn't go anywhere. They filed another one in August of 2020. And so where they're at right now is the conservation groups have now sued NMFS for their failure to respond to the two petitions that they submitted. I legally don't know how all that works, other than it's more pressure on NMFS to come to some sort of decision. I I don't know what the fallout is if NIMS continues to ignore it, other than it looked bad. I don't really know what the punishment is in court.
Yeah.
And what they want is all vessels to reduce their speed
To 10 knots or
10
slower.
knots. Yeah, and including vessels shorter than 65 feet as well as large ones.
Yep. Yeah, so they want vessels of all size to abide by the 10-knot speed limit, and it's an enforceable regulation instead of a voluntary speed limit. And then they want to
Wow.
expand the time and space that it's enforced in.
Look at that. Look at that photo. The top left one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
So the reason why they petitioned a second
Oh,
time is
man.
because in 2020, so last season when they had that baby boom of 10 whales, 2 of them died from vessel strike. Just the baby whales. So one was like a newborn, and it died in January of 2020 off the coast of Georgia and Florida somewhere. And then the other one made it to 6 months old and then was hit by a vessel off the coast of New Jersey, and then was hit again right afterwards and died.
God, these they really were the right whale to kill, huh?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So that was because of last year. Well, guess what happened last week?
Yeah, I saw. It's pretty bad. Even the mom.
Yeah.
The
a right whale
mom has a lot of scars too. Yeah.
Georgia got hit and the calf died.
Mom's doing okay. I think doing okay, right? They can't really track her.
She's got prop scars.
Yeah.
Well, active prop wounds. And
wait, is that her, the top left one?
No.
That's older,
if you go down in our notes to below my
on Facebook?
Yeah, the Facebook one. So this is from Fish and Wildlife Research Institute in Florida. On the evening of February 12th.
Calf.
Yeah, and the person reported themselves. It was the evening time. A 54-foot sport fishing vessel captain reported hitting a whale near the entrance of St. Augustine Inlet. And the vessel was damaged and started taking on water. I don't know if they were...
Wow.
If they hit the dead whale or if they are the ones that hit the whale. Because the prop marks look huge for a 54-foot sport fishing boat.
They were big props.
Well, you realize this whale got hit in the face already by another prop fin. So it must have got hit twice, because look at the prop. Like, look on the photo of the face up close. Those lines are from a prop. So
yeah, it was hit in the face and the back.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe the
good.
sport fishing boat hit the whale when it was dead already, and the mom and the calf had been hit by a much bigger boat. They're still trying to figure that out.
1 month old.
Yeah.
And look how big it is.
This was Infinity. I think she's a first-time mom.
Oh, all right.
And so they did aerial surveys, and
what the hell?
They were able to recite Infinity out swimming in the ocean, and she has prop scars on her body too.
Yeah.
Prop wounds on her body.
Why? What's up with the right whales? They just have it the worst on the planet, or what?
They're slow.
They're slow. They're stubborn.
Yeah.
They're always at the surface.
They feed at the surface.
Because they skim feed, so it's like, what the
heck? Yeah. And because they skim feed, they're also very susceptible to nasty mouth entanglements, especially because the shape of their mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. These animals, it's hard for
Evolution
them to coexist.
did them dirty.
Hard to coexist with humans when you're made like a right whale. So,
wow, that picture sucks. I hate that photo.
To coexist on our end, because we're the ones putting all these obstacles in the water.
People suck.
Yeah. So I think, unfortunately, even though it's a sad note, we'll end there. I had one other little article, but we can talk about it in another episode. It's just basically saying that
you can talk about it.
There was some estimates done with blue whales in particular. I believe, let me pull it up here, and they're doing in St. Lawrence, they're doing a scar assessment on blue whales to see if they're accurately capturing how high the risk of entanglement is in the life of a blue whale and a fin whale. And they originally thought that it wasn't a huge risk for blue whales and fin whales, and now they're finding that 60% of blue whales in their study had scars from being entangled at one point in their life, and at least half of fin whales.
Yeah.
Wait, how did they get disentangled?
Roll around, breathe.
They just break them
throw
because
the
they're so
gears
big,
themselves.
maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we don't see blue whales unless it's wrapped around the fluke. Like, they're just not as tangled as much.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
just-
they have short flippers.
True,
Right? So
compared to their
getting
body,
wrapped on the pecs isn't as big of a deal. They often are feeding at depth, like ideal feeding depth for blue whales for krill in California is like 150 meters.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
pretty deep. So not getting entangled in the mouth usually. So yeah, maybe they're able to shed it off of their tails better than anyone else because of the shape and size of the fluke. I don't know. But they use drones and photo ID, and they estimated that 55% of fin whales and 40 to 60% of blue whales have been entangled at some point in their life. So this is a lot bigger issue for a lot more species than people are realizing.
Yeah, I think every survey they've done kind of like that, looking at all like big cetaceans, it's literally always more than half have entanglement scars.
Does that blue whale look familiar, Eric?
I've definitely seen blue whales with the tip of the fluke turned up.
You know what?
What's that
There's
one
a bunch
named
of them
Delta
that
or
look
something?
Delta.
Delta. Each tip is upturned. Yeah.
Which is a whale that was reported entangled in Monterey Bay, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of our Orange County whales.
Hasn't been seen since.
14, 15.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. Lines and ropes and fishing gear, I guess.
Yeah. I would just say the best thing to do is be an informed consumer about where your seafood comes from, and think about what is it worth to you. Like I hardly ever ate crab or lobster before I really got involved with whales, but like now I don't eat it. And I also ask questions about like, how is the shrimp that I'm eating caught, that kind of stuff. So like, that's what I do, is I just don't eat it.
Oh.
But it's for every person to decide what's going to be best for them. But just be an informed consumer. Know where your food comes from, and know what the risk is to wildlife when you're eating it.
It's like, you guys know me. I don't like to post sad photos to like get the point across. But like, dude, that right whale photo sucks.
Yeah, that's sad. The little guy.
Like, imagine like you walk up to a store and it's like, that's the photo. You're like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna buy any food today.
Yeah, can you imagine if that was on the window when you pick out the lobster out of the cooler?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also think about where your things come from. Like, can we get some of these cargo ships off the ocean? Can we somehow, as a consumer, demand that these ships abide by those speed limits when coming into port? Like, can you buy things at your local farmer's market instead of it coming on a ship to get to you? Can you thrift shop for clothes instead of buying, the latest fashion trend that came across a ship from Asia to get to your market, or from South America to get to your market? Like, little things like that to just slow the global demand of movement of goods across the ocean. So do it for the baby whales.
Sad. Thanks for depressing us.
I'm
again.
sorry.
All right, Caitlin. That was the last podcast with Caitlin. We had to let her go.
She's too depressing.
We'll talk about happy stuff next time.
Yeah, we'll try.
I mean, I don't even know what to say right now.
I'm trying to pick happy.
Yeah.
But this is the reality of our very.
Gotta go cry now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Chipotle and cry.
I gotta go cry now. Go cry on my barbacoa.
Don't be sad. Be
sofritas.
better.
Oh, you like sofritas? Those are good.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in episode 71. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're not following us on social media, it's Whale Nerds on pretty much everything.
Yeah. Thank you so much for following along with us. Also, if you could rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to it, that would be helpful for us. That way we can get more listeners.
My wife did that the other day. She's like, I reviewed you guys' podcast because we only have one review, I think, on somewhere. I don't know where she saw it, but she was listening to our episodes the other day.
Oh, So yeah, and thank you for the messages from folks that have been listening to the episodes and like reminiscing and re-listening to the episodes. And I like it when you guys text us that stuff. That's fun. So thanks for following along.
Bye.